punching your way through toll booths.
Yeah. It's still like just like the wooden arm goes down at the toll. It's like crashing through it.
Yeah. Hey, are you gonna pay that toll? No.
Lore Boys here. The internet's #1 weird passion project podcast is back with more of what you'd betray the human race for. My name is Peter O'Donohue, and I'm my twins' understudy. Joining me today are
Ethan Palmer, his twins overstudy.
James Miller. I'm plugged into your ears with a little cord that it kind of like it all twines together, and it's a little sexual.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, we'll get into
cords.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, USBs are very sexual, I think.
Yeah.
I feel dominant every time I am trying to move photos between two computers like an old man.
Dude,
Instead of
whenever
just using Google Drive.
when they introduced USB-C and you could like hit it upside down all of a sudden, I was like, damn, man, this USB
yeah,
took
exactly.
the next level.
The naughty
bro.
bisexual plug. It doesn't matter what direction it goes in.
Never forget a mid-2010s Lenovo charger that was just the full 360. You know what I mean? Never forget what they took from us.
Never forget your first. So, patrons Steve Z. Gayhaver, in brackets, and Don't Tickle Me, guessed that we might have already covered James Cameron's Avatar series, but we hadn't, but those two put it in my head, so I'm going to give that as just like they MK Ultra'd me, basically, the two of them.
Crazy that we haven't, honestly.
Yeah.
People often roast these movies for having no cultural significance whatsoever, except for the fact every time one comes out, James Cameron pockets a cool $1 billion and then returns to the ocean. It's just like, I don't think you know what cultural impact means, because there are few men who can make $1 billion every 20 years, guaranteed, right?
I mean, I don't think that's cultural impact though. Like, and I think the criticism of the Avatar movies that people are leveling is that like it changes nothing in the zeitgeist. Like, it enters the zeitgeist, and then when it eventually leaves the zeitgeist, it never fully leaves the zeitgeist, but it leaves everything perfectly undisturbed. Like, nobody's opinion is changed about anything after watching an Avatar movie.
No,
it's just Blue Pocahontas, right?
No, the first one is, yeah.
Blue Dances with Wolves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it. I like these movies. I remember the last time I had a breakup I gave a fuck about in 2009. I went and saw Avatar with friend of the show Oren at a tiny shitty theater on the South Shore. And then the second one came out while I was working in VFX, and I got really wrapped up in the hype for that because
it's so beautiful, dude. She had hair too.
Yeah. But the second one came out while I was in VFX, and everybody at the office was just like, look, I know they're kind of dopey, but like, fucking look at it. And I was just like, honestly, I'm all about that. I'm wearing my NPC film hat right now. They laid me off, and I am still swagless from my new job. So anyway,
well,
yeah, caught up in the industry hype. But if you would like to incept ideas into my head, you can join Patreon, patreon.com/theloreboys. I believe we have a couple of new names who joined us in the past 10-ish days since we last recorded. Ethan, if you want to pull them up.
Welcome, Fate Godsend and Evan Unit 01.
Hell yeah.
One of you sounds like a robot.
I think it's Eva Unit 1 from Evangelion, which we haven't.
No, it's Evan Unit 1. But it might be a reference to Eva Unit 1.
You're right.
Nice.
I'll give you that, Pete. But it's Evan Unit 1.
That's what I meant. I did say it wrong. I wasn't actually trying to correct you.
No, in Evangelion, it's Evangelion.
Evangelion. Neo Genesis Evangelion.
Neil Genesis.
I love Genesis, man. So yeah, if you are or become a patron, this is kind of big show news for us here, along with having access to hundreds of bonus episodes, exclusive Discord channels, and benefits. You will also have access to a sizable preview of my comic, The Black Frontier, as of July 17th, 2024. Oh, fuck yeah. I don't think the soundboard comes through.
No, they don't hear it.
There's air horns and people clapping and cheering and
exactly.
all the rest of it.
It's going buck wild over here at Lore Boys HQ, but
we're doing it. It's not for sale. Again, people will hear this.
It's a preview.
It is exactly. I'm anti-early access. This doesn't change that, but I want it out. I want people to see it. So it is being added on. The preview is being added on as an additional benefit for every single tier on Patreon. So if you've been curious about our Patreon and you wanted one more thing to push you over the edge and maybe toss us $3 here, $3 gets you access to all the bonus episodes, the comic, everything.
And if you don't have $3 a month, then just befriend a patron in the Discord and have them pirate it for you. Like, we're pro piracy here, so I don't think 100% has a moral leg to stand on if he says no, don't do.
Oh no.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know. Don't pirate my PDF file. Says me watching House of the Dragon legitimately in quotes.
maybe don't distribute the bonus episodes. Maybe we shouldn't encourage that kind of thing.
I don't think you can download directly from. That's like a lot of effort to then like to rip it off Patreon, I think.
Oh, people will.
I would be honored to put us as like Cumtown alumni of having our patrons steal all our fucking content and release it for free on YouTube. Chapo as well. Anyway, that's it. You guys have been listening to me talk about it for literal years. Again, I need a little bit of a break, but I got a lot done. Self-imposed crunch. I'm very proud of it. Very happy. I hope you guys like it, and I'm happy to get some feedback. I'm not going to rewrite it, but if you've got advice on how to maybe improve perspective in some shots that I'm a little bad at, I'd love some advice on how to fix, maybe at a right angle once in a while. Anyway,
sometimes you just have to step back and look inward to get the right perspective.
You do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But this ain't about me. It's about a different Canadian, not from Kuujjuaq, Quebec, but from Kapuskasing, Ontario. James Cameron. How Kuujjuaq was easier than that?
Kuujjuaq's only easier because you know how it's pronounced. If you read the word Kuujjuaq, it's not easy, and you don't know how it's pronounced, it's not easy.
No. I don't know why you would have trouble with Kuujjuaq. It's a perfectly cromulent town.
Of Kapuskasing, right next to Brunetteville.
Ooh, damn. I like a brunette. Anyway, James Cameron.
He's really from the middle of fucking nowhere, Ontario, eh? Yeah. Like I've driven through this town because I've taken that highway before when driving cross country, and like there is nothing up there. It's just all empty.
It's fuck all. It's like Ajax, basically. It's like an ex-industrial town or something.
It's like the bottom of the sea.
Yeah, I think he might be the most successful filmmaker in history because he's got 3 Billies under his belt, both Avatars and Titanic, as far as I know.
Does James Cameron ever go to the Black Frontier?
No, but he's one of the few billionaires who has successfully gone to and returned from the wreck of the Titanic. He's done that multiple times.
So I used to know his name really well, even when I was a kid, because my brother was named Cameron, and I'm James. James Cameron, and the Titanic sank on like the evening of my mom's birthday, like on,
April, I think it's 12th.
I think it's the 16th. It officially sank, but it was like 3 a.m. or whatever. So it was like just starting
1911?
1912, yeah.
Yeah. My mom's not that old, but like just the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Just
yeah.
So have you guys seen either of the Avatar films?
I've seen the first one.
I think I went with you. I think
we did see it in theaters. I know we definitely got high school stoned and watched it on like my parents' big screen with the surround sound a couple of times, maybe.
Yeah, when we went to theaters, we went. I was like dating someone in Saint Lazare at the time, and I remember going and stopping at someone's house in Saint Lazare before going to the movie.
I was dating a Baptist.
Yeah.
Double date. How cute.
Who almost had the same name as me.
That's true, yeah.
Jamie?
Really close.
It was Jasmine Miller, so it's 2 letters off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I also dated her once upon a time too. It's a small town, yeah.
I had been dumped by, I had been broken up with by a girl in Toronto when I went to see Avatar. This is the girl who looks like Queen Rhaenyra from House of the Dragon. Platinum blonde, big eyes sort of thing.
Oh, well, the girl I saw looked more like the dragon.
The dragon from Shrek, whom Donkey fell in love with.
Very beautiful.
Yes, exactly.
She had like lipstick.
I like a big bitch. This girl was much taller than me. This girl was much taller than me.
For a little ass like Donkey. You know what I mean?
I was the donkey to her dragon, certainly. I think she's like 3.5 inches taller than I am.
You wish, dude. You wish you were hung like a donkey.
So, The first film starts in 2148 on Earth, where agents of the Resource Development Agency, or the RDA, as I'll be calling it going forwards, approach a man named Jake Sully about replacing his brother Thomas on an expedition to Pandora. It's a large, habitable moon, and take a drink. It's in the Alpha Centauri system, orbiting the gas giant Polyphemus.
They're also looking for magic rocks. I know that. Not to let the Band-Aid off, but
oh yeah,
Was the sun in the magic rock? Why do we drink? I don't know why we drank there.
Alpha Centauri, I think, is a new one. Yeah,
exactly. Talk about Alpha Centauri, like feels like every 2 weeks.
It's the closest star system, so it makes sense.
I know. Okay. Yeah. This is the RDA logo for you guys. I don't actually know when the RDA was founded. The sources I looked at say that it was founded in the 21st century, but this propaganda I'm going to show you guys says that it's been around for, I don't know if this is 25 years or 245. The typography is all kind of mushed up together. I'm assuming it's 25 years because 245 years would have put this in the founding of the RDA in 1903 from the beginning of the film, which is before even the Titanic sank, meaning James Cameron's purpose had not yet been discovered.
For what it's worth, I only see 25. So
yeah, I was seeing 245 literally up until I started talking about it. When I wrote it down,
squinting, I can't see a 4 in there.
The 4 is like side of the 5.
Yeah.
Like the 2 leads into a 4 leads into a 5.
Yeah.
I can kind of see like lowercase a5 as well.
What is that? Like, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because the 2 looks like a lowercase a with like the lowercase a with the little cowlick on it.
Yeah,
they don't all have that.
A little lowercase a that grew his hair out. You're right.
Yeah.
Mine's getting long. I'm a little lowercase a, dating my dragon. So Alpha Centauri is a real trinary solar system, and is the closest to Earth, like Ethan said, that we know of at least. I think we talk about it in both our Starfield and Killzone episodes.
At least, yeah.
Alpha Centauri is very much like the Forgotten Realms of sci-fi at this point, where it's the mold, or it's just the baseline for your sci-fi setting, and then everything you want to put on top of that goes from there, because it is, again, the closest one to us that we know of. We talk about it way more on other episodes. I'm not going to get into it anymore.
I have it in a few Warhammer. I searched. I got it in a few Warhammer 40K episodes as well. There, so
yeah, there you go.
Nice.
Within the Avatar canon, it takes roughly 6 years to travel the 4.37 light years to arrive at Pandora from Earth. The planet Polyphemus that Pandora orbits is film only and is not named after a real planet. The planets in Alpha Centauri system are called Proxima Centauri, Alpha, Beta, and whatever C is. The first one was actually officially discovered and named in 2016, which is 7 years after the first film came out, and probably 25 years before. But like it discovered 25 years after James Cameron actually wrote the script, because like legend has it he'd been wanting to make Avatar for 20 years, but VFX technology just it wasn't good enough to show a human man kissing a big blue lady, right? And it's very important to the plot that happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know you said you weren't going to talk about it, but I did get interested. So it's not Alpha Centauri. It's not like Centauri Alpha and Centauri Beta. It's Alpha Centauri A, Alpha Centauri B, and Alpha Centauri C.
Oh, is it? Proxima Centauri. I think they mean
it's C. Yeah. So okay. Rigel Kentaurus is A, Ptolemy is B, and then Proxima Centauri is C.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, sorry, I mixed that up. Regardless, Polyphemus is fake. And somehow James Cameron called that that there would be planets in the star system 20 years before NASA. He's part of the deep state. He must be. He knew those people in the submarine were dead before anybody else, too.
He was Kubrick's protege on the moon landing. So, yeah,
Oh, there we go. He is getting the deep state lore.
Yeah, they all get it on Epstein Island.
Yeah.
They all talk about planets over there. Pretty sure that's what they did.
I hope so. That's why so many intellectuals. That's why so many intellectuals went. That's like Stephen Hawking just went to wheel around and do math. Here we are. So back on Earth, the RDA had asked Jake Sully to replace his brother Thomas after Tom was killed in a mugging. They were identical twins, and Jake was a perfect genetic candidate to replace him, and the RDA had already invested a significant amount of money into Tom and his part in the Avatar program, which we'll talk about, I believe, after the break, if I remember the structure of this episode. So yeah, that like very fortunate for them. They don't need to take out insurance on this guy who was stabbed in an alley. They just have his twin brother to replace him there.
Perfect.
So before Jake leaves Earth, I'd like to get into the state of things, and just a quick question for the room. How do you think Earth is doing in the year of our Lord 2148?
Probably thriving. There's probably no more war, no more hunger. Probably no more people in wheelchairs.
No more stupid ice caps. It's nice and warm. You can just relax, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Finally.
No more winter. It's really nice. Probably like great, cozy, big fires that just like eat up the California countryside.
Yeah, more water. Like just higher water for James Cameron to go swimming in, kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe France has broken off of continental Europe and sank into the sea, so James Cameron gets to like putter around and like drive his submarine to Paris or whatever. I think it's pretty utopic, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's too bad. You started off strong there. Jamie really did cinch it there. It's bad. The situation on Earth in the future is, of course, bad. On the surface, things like climate change, intense weather, rising sea levels, obviously a sunken France, God bless, overpopulation, and dwindling resources are all present. Again, there's something charming about the Avatar universe because it is so baby's first sci-fi campaign, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
right.
I talking about it having no cultural impact before, like it is very inoffensive, right? Like it is not trying to push any boundaries. It's not trying to do anything revolutionary. It succeeded in exactly what it sought out to do, which was reach the most people possible, so James Cameron could afford better and better submarines, right?
Exactly.
And now he doesn't have to like fly to France. He could just like take his little like submarine down there. He would love climate change, wouldn't he? Like, wouldn't he want more like human structures to be underwater so he could go explore them?
Did he work on Waterworld? Do we know that?
No, he did. The Abyss though, which is a different deep sea movie.
Are we sure he didn't have a part in Waterworld?
You can pull up the clip. I have no idea. I didn't look up
I'm saying
Waterworld.
I don't think it's in the credits. I think the deep state is hiding that from us.
James
Cameron's Waterworld.
Yeah,
of course. Well, they took out Stanley Kubrick out of the credits of NASA. When the credits roll on the moon landing, which was fake, TM.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's under he's under a pseudonym basically of some stupid fake name like Buzz Aldrin is his pseudonym, right, for the moon landing.
Such a stupid made up name, man.
Speaking of the moon landing, I was on our Instagram and I saw Liked by Lore Boys podcast, the bit about how the moon should only be for white men.
Okay, so you're lacking the context. This is from the Adam Friedland show, and it is because I do follow Tafts on Instagram, and that is one of the funniest episodes I've listened to recently. When I beat Returnal, I had Nick, and he's just talking about how like I love all this progressive stuff, but they're sending a gay man and a black woman to the moon, and I'm just saying no. It's too far. One last thing for white guys, and it's just a good bit. It's so funny. Bulldog forever, man. In what I'd guess are the later parts of the 21st century, after the Artemis program has sent a black woman in the moon, the RDA's orbital moon, Mars, and asteroid belt factories began polluting space itself. So capitalism really did not sort itself out whatsoever. Yeah, which, like, let's be real.
Space too big.
If it is too big, of course, it's very silly, but it really just is like, oh man, industry has gone way too far.
Yeah,
at this
like
point, right?
I feel like this idea is like directly related to like the space junk we have around Earth, which like affects telescopes and might affect like future rocket launches, things like that. But I was like, Earth very, 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 very small, right, compared to space. Like when you think about polluting space, you have to think like all the things that pollute Earth are taken from the Earth. And it's probably like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent of the total mass of Earth that is like pollutants orbiting us or in the atmosphere. Obviously, there's no atmosphere in space, so we couldn't pollute there. But it's like how could you take Mars And there's no way you could break it up that it would be too big and be cluttering up space. It's already taking up a space in space.
It's taking up a Mars-sized part of space.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It still takes incredible math and 8 months to get to. Assuming it's not on the other side of the sun at time of writing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it is very silly, but it is just like catastrophizing pollution because James Cameron is very much like the first. He's very much locked in the Captain Planet days of politics. He's just like his nemesis is still Ronald Reagan. God bless, right?
Yeah,
like
to him.
the first movie was Save the Rainforest. The second movie is Save the Whales. Like it's just slogans from when he was 20, right? Mm-hmm. When he was faking the moon landing.
Honestly. Yeah, still important.
I don't know if you guys caught this, but it's July right now, and the national hot dog eating competition happened. And I know Joey Chestnut's not in it. It's a big deal. We're all really sad about it. Mm-hmm. But we're talking about telescopes. Do you see who won third place? James Webb.
James Webb. Telescope guy.
The telescope itself?
He's got to be the guy, right? It's got to be the same guy. You eat enough hot dogs, they'll put your name in space, baby.
That'd be so funny if the prize for the hot dog eating contest was to get your name on a telescope in space.
Look, we have some scientists in the Discord. I think that we should get them working on, because you can rent time with the James Webb telescope, right? Like you can submit a research proposal and like basically petition to use it for a thing. And I think we should probably petition to get it focusing on those. Who was it? Nathan's? It's Nathan's dogs, right? Let's get the James Webb Space Telescope looking at the Nathan's factory, try and dig up some dirt so that we can get Joey Chestnut back in there. We need some blackmail on these people. You know what I mean?
We really do.
No, Joey Chestnut said had the hardest resignation letter I've ever read, where he said, "I no longer feel hungry," and this man has definitely eaten. I would say I feel conservative saying this. 50,000 hot dogs.
That wasn't Joey Chestnut. He didn't retire. Yeah. That was the other guy, Kobayashi, I think.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm very glad that all of us are very up to date on the hot dog eating.
So Joey Chestnut signed a sponsor deal with Impossible Dogs, like fake, veggie meat dogs.
Yeah.
And Nathan's banned him from the competition because they said we don't want anybody who's representing other dogs at our competition.
Yeah, but the winner this year, Patrick Bertoletti, he is still 5 hot dogs ahead of the next guy, but he would still probably be 10 away from Joey.
And he's a pretty good telescope, honestly.
Yeah, James Webb, third place, man.
The Patrick Bertoletti telescope.
Joey Chestnut choked a guy out last year and still won.
Yeah,
with a belly full of
last year,
60 dogs.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Anyway, we are all up to date on the Nathan's hot dog eating award. Don't worry. It's your fault, Jamie, and it's fucking interesting. That's it. Badlands Chugs and Airsoft Fatty were there this year. It's crazy. All the boys.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, back on track here. Capitalism is polluting space itself. I do love how the guy who makes $1 billion every time he releases the movie is just like, capitalism, eh? Back to the sea for me.
Well, better sit on this pile of gold.
Yeah, exactly. He's just hiding. He's just squirreling it away inside the wreck of the Titanic where no one can ever get it. So it had been polluting space itself. It's probably the orbital platforms, that caused pollution storms on the Earth as it burned up in the atmosphere. I suppose adding carbon to the atmosphere, because like you said, the coal that we're burning is adding carbon that's already here into the air. But this is mined from the moon and is now adding additional mass to our atmosphere and just polluting the absolute fuck out of it.
No.
That's a little bit of Lore Boys canon. I did not find anything stating yes, there are pollution storms. It's just I assume manna from heaven, basically, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Cheese from the moon.
Yes. So Jake Sully mentions in the first film that there is no green left on Earth at all. This kind of suggests to me, more Lore Boys canon, that every plant that uses chlorophyll to photosynthesize has gone extinct in the wild, except for algae. So along with sea level rise that came from melting the ice caps, the west coast of the U.S. was hit by a large tsunami in the 2140s, which displaced a huge amount of like degenerate West Coast hippies into the already overpopulated Midwestern zones like Minnesota and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And by the 22nd century, Earth's population had cleared 20 billion. And while the southern U.S. is partially sunk and is just a vast network of swampland, just called the Glades, but I like to refer to it as Big Florida. So like chunks of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, I think is also on the coast.
What if Texas was Florida?
Dude, I'm a big fan of Florida. All my best Twitch boys are from Florida. My Honest Dons, my Sideshow Commies are. My Twitch channel is funded by Florida, I feel like.
Yeah,
big Florida, better.
A couple of people from Florida, yeah. There's good people from Florida. Don't get me wrong. There's a ton of them. Beautiful people. Mm-hmm. There's some really, really bad, really fucked up politics there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really not good.
If Pudding Ron subscribes to your Twitch page, then all is forgiven, though. Especially
I'm not forgiving. I just want to be on the record. I'm not forgiving.
I'm just trying to get the deep state off our ass. They changed the weather and delay the episode, okay? Most, if not all, farmable land has been completely poisoned at this point, which moved agriculture to huge algae farms out in the oceans. So, like, nutrient-rich algae is the base of every dish on the planet at this point, and it's like sexed up with a couple of spices, basically. It's very much like it's Joey Chestnut would be representing impossible algae at this point, where he would be kicked out of the algae farm.
What spices aren't plant? You know what I mean? Trying to think.
Salt?
Is salt a spice? I don't know if I would call it a spice.
Me and the whites consider salt a spice.
I thought we were having hot dogs, not salted algae.
I think cinnamon is like a root or a branch.
James Cameron would like salty dogs. Come on, he'd be in love with it. Pirates on the top of the water while he's cruising around on a submarine underneath, shooting torpedoes at him.
That's a good point. That's a good point. This is all in his best interest. Yeah.
I love how I said, Peter. By the way, are there any spices that aren't plants? And you said, I think cinnamon is a branch.
Yeah, I was thinking of like a plant with leaves, like rosemary or parsley or something like that.
Spice is any seed, fruit, root, bark, or other plant substance in a form primarily used for flavoring or coloring food.
Yeah, because I was thinking of the color, because I said chlorophyll plant specifically, and I know cinnamon is like a wooden texture, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, trees photosynthesize. I will say trance.
Sharks are older than trees.
Yeah,
they are.
So are the Appalachian Mountains. The Appalachian Mountains are the same. It's the same mountain range as the Scottish Highlands. It was one mountain range when Pangaea was a continent, and when Pangaea split apart, the mountain range split apart. They're older than trees. They're also older than the rings of Saturn.
Wow,
that surprises me. The rings of Saturn thing does. The fact that mountains are older than plants doesn't shock me.
When did it?
Plants are on top. What are you fucking talking about? Of course,
those specific, like the Rockies, are much younger than trees, right?
Right. Yeah, and like the Himalayas, presumably as well, because India had to crash into Asia, right?
Yeah. Typically, the bigger the mountains, the younger they are.
What was the ring of Saturn before? It was just like a bunch of rocks and dust that eventually kind of just accumulated in the middle.
Maybe a moon. Maybe it's like moons that done crash into each other.
Because like there's probably a bunch of residual debris from a bunch of things, right? Like just out in the chunks of the Oort cloud, I think is a part of that. Who knows? Google more space. We're gonna have to pass by it on our way to Pandora, regardless.
Yeah.
Thankfully, despite the fact that people are eating just algae, salted cinnamon, or whatever, brands like Pepsi, McDonald's, and 7-Eleven still exist, meaning patron Commodore Turtle has job security, assuming she lives to be 165 years old. I can't remember the name of the breaded thing that they sell at 7-Eleven, and I couldn't remember when I was writing this. And I didn't Google it because I wanted you guys to try and pull it. It's like a churro. It's like a rolled breaded thing that has like pizza filling.
Big gulp.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the gulp is the pizza filling. You do a big gulp of pizza filling in the middle.
But it's like algae now instead of pizza filling.
Oh, yummy.
Yum.
I think it's a churro, is it not?
It's like a Costco chicken bake, but instead it has pizza on the inside.
I think a churro is a fried, like a donut stick.
With cinnamon.
Oh yeah. With cinnamon, which we've
Churros
established
grow
is a rock.
Yeah.
This is not a plant.
Churros grow on trees, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
You know, this is why humanity needs to leave Earth, is because the naturally occurring churros have all gone extinct due to climate change.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure there's like Americans or people who like eat at gas stations pulling their hair out right now that none of us know what this thing is, but it's like on a hot dog roller.
Turtle
Right.
in the Discord works at a 7-Eleven, I'm pretty sure. So
I know she does. That's why I was saying
Yeah.
she's got job security if she could live this long
Imagine-
past a century.
Imagine Joey Chestnut just shows up to your 7-Eleven and cleans you out in like half a second. That'd be so sick, dude.
The perfect crime. Did you eat all those hot dogs? No man could have eaten those hot dogs that fast. There must not have been any there. One hot dog, please. Where did the rest of the hot dogs go? There was only one when I got here.
I like to imagine he shows up with like the dastardly evildoer little like figure 8 shaped mask that just covers his eyes, right?
Yeah.
So by 2170, which is in the future of both currently released films, so this is a little bit of like, I guess, hinting. I think James Cameron has like 9 of these fucking movies planned out. By 2170, the Earth cannot actually support human life at all, and Mars is just still not ready, despite Elon Musk's completely fake efforts. So humanity begins a full-scale push to colonize Pandora, but this is later. This is post-script, basically.
And may I ask what the source? I know you said James Cameron. Like, did he just mention it in an interview? Did he publish is there like a book, like a world building atlas or something?
A lot of supplemental comics that I kind of clicked through. Cool. There are 2 video games that I have not played, but the newer one is like,
of course,
Far Cry, but Pandora, which if it hits Game Pass, would love to check out. It is made by Ubisoft. Looks a lot like Far Cry. It's likely I'll hate it because I haven't been able to click with a Far Cry since 3, but I definitely want to try, riding one of those alien like panther things. I think that looks very cool.
Yeah. Not to take us too far off again, but since we talked about the hot dog eating contest, this will never come up again. So the women's division, there's like a huge gap between like men and women, but only for most women. There's one woman who keeps up with all the men named Miko Sudo, who can do 51. She was the winner. The next one down was 37.
No chance. Holy fuck.
And then the next one down was 23, 14. The 5th place, they're down to 13 hot dogs already. 5th place in the men's, it's at 46. Jesus. So I think that there's not enough women applying themselves to eating a lot of hot dogs.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of like representation more than anything. You know, there's no women hot dog eating heroes for them to grow up watching. Like we got to grow up watching Joey Chestnut.
Yeah.
Right? A true hero. So we all got into competitive hot dog eating in our college years for sure.
We
all burned out on it. We weren't going to go pro, but we
just like the moon. They need a black lady and a gay man in the next hot dog eating contest to really clutch it.
Wow. Yeah. Well, this is. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Joey Chestnut. No, we should. I'm just saying we should get. If you're a woman, listen to this podcast, which maybe there's 3 of you. Apply yourself. Eat some hot dogs. Try and get in there. Okay, you can
15. It. Start with 15.
You're already.
I know a woman. Eat 15 hot dogs.
Yeah,
at least you'll be in 5th place already. For feminism. Exactly.
Listen to men. Listen to 3 men tell you how to be a better feminist, and it starts by eating 15 hot dogs. Okay.
I think I think there's someone could take the throne if they really just did their best. So you're out there somewhere.
That also sounds condescending. Just like, I'm sure if you girls just applied yourselves, you can do it.
You could be like the boys.
That fucking woman who someone's gonna send this clip to that woman who fucking ate 51 hot dogs in a goddamn minute. And be like, just three guys being like, just apply yourself. You can fucking do better than that, no problem.
I have not claimed as an ally. I have not claimed that I could eat more. I can eat 3, and then the salt makes my blood hurt. It's just like I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I can't do more than 3.
I had like 4 this weekend, and that was about it. Over the course of a few days.
Yeah. I will do 3 every now and then, and I eat the fake ones. I eat the veggie ones, but when I do like I do 3 because sometimes it's always an eyes bigger than the stomach thing. Where I get halfway through the third one, I'm like, man, this was a big time mistake from Ethan, and I finished it because I don't waste food. But
I got
I think I
stuck
can
in
eat
traffic,
6
and
fast.
I got 3 steamies, and I was also like still driving. I was just like, I've never really been more dehydrated in my life. Anyway, just do an episode about hot dogs, Jamie. You've been putting it off for years. My comic's fucking out.
What the people want?
Yeah. I was seeing someone,
at least.
I've been seeing someone new lately, and they're like, "I want to hear an episode of your podcast." And I was like, "What would someone who's not really into video games like?" And you know what?
You gotta do an episode about hot dogs to ensure you don't dry out her pussy entirely, right? Like that's the strategy.
That's so attractive, dude. Someone who knows a lot about hot dogs.
Jamie's not shooting ropes; he's just shooting glizzies out of there.
I look like Harvey Wood spitting them up.
Yeah.
You remember that guy?
You gotta get the you've got to get like the mustard and the ketchup like squiggle tattooed on the top.
Oh. Yeah, but the problem is I'm a grower, so when most of the time it would just look like a blob.
That's okay.
Whatever, that's fine.
Most of the time when nobody's looking at it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so Pandora, unlike the hot dog,
you'd have to be hard while you get the tattoo. I think I never thought about the logistics of a penis tattoo. It's like you would have to. Hold on.
You can pop a pill for it. You can pop a pill for it, right?
Yeah, get gas station boner pill and then your ketchup tattoo on your penis. That's a great afternoon.
Let me look up boner tattoos. Oh, this is going to give me tattoos of boners. Yeah,
no,
sure enough.
That sounds like next week.
This is kind of funny, though.
Let's take some boner pills and go to the tattoo shop.
This is kind of funny how you guys mentioned James Webb. Because Pandora, just to get us back on track here, but somehow still slightly relevant, Pandora was discovered via space telescope. Sometime after 2050. The date ranges that I saw were between 2050 and 2077, and I was just like, that's too long. Fuck that. I just need to condense that a little bit. Evidence at the time suggests that it had a strong magnetic field, which is one of the things that Earth has that protects life from solar radiation. One of the reasons we are never, ever fucking going to Mars is the radiation that is blasting off the sun will cook every living thing that is like headed out there. Like once you're out of the range of a magnetic field that protects you from that, it's fucking over. And I know we make fun of him constantly. Elon ain't figuring out radiation shielding. He made a truck you can't take through a car wash. Like, let's be real. Let's be fucking real here. So having a strong magnetic field is a really good sign. I would assume, I didn't look this up, when you can pull up the clip, it's probably one of the things that people look for when searching for prospective Earth 2s, right? Like you need gravity, you need liquid water, and a magnetic field to protect you from the resident star. In this case,
very pretty, very tall blue ladies.
Exactly. So the magnetic field quickly entered it into a running as an Earth 2. That being said, with the state of Earth at this time, if there was like a filthy trap house mattress orbiting a star, they probably would have been like, well, that's good. That's better than we got here. I bet they're not eating algae on that mattress out there, man. And I do have a nice little pretty picture here of Pandora. For the patrons, I want to give a bigger one where it's like in orbit around the planet Polyphemus, which is described as a small Neptune. So it's very blue. It's a gas giant, basically. Which in some cases have been likened to failed stars. Like Jupiter is just not quite dense enough to create nuclear fusion, right? So it isn't a star. It is just a gas giant. But whereas the sun, of course, being a million times bigger than that, it's just a little bit more, but on space scale, a little bit more could be 1 million times and still not even fucking close. Excuse me. Early readings from Pandora were very positive, like I said. So this actually inspired construction of newer, larger telescopes named after other hot dog eating guys, or maybe even the first hot dog eating lady.
Well, Miki Sudo, Miki Sudo's space telescope.
The MSST.
Okay, so the Lore Boys canon, the Miki Sudo space telescope was the largest and most powerful space telescope constructed to observe Pandora. Turns out things were looking so good that the RDA kicked colonization into high gear in the 2100s. Their efforts led to the construction of 2 massive human facilities called Hell's Gate and the Bridgehead. The second one is called Bridgehead City. It is only seen in the second film, but they're basically the huge pseudo-industrial, pseudo-military, pseudo-civilian,
Mickey pseudo.
the all-in-one colonization package here. It's basically just like, I don't know how they were deployed and constructed. They were definitely using mechanized suits called amp suits, which they do use for the military as well to construct these things. And the bridgehead, which is the lower half of the image from the second film, is still under construction. You guys can see the big classic like high-rise cranes there toiling away.
Yeah.
Mickey pseudoscience.
I couldn't find when construction started, but it was in the 22nd century. I do know that. And both are occupied full-time by humans by the time Jake Sully arrives in 2154, which, like I said, is, well, I mean, it's 6 years after the start of the first film. But in the lore dump, in the clip that I sent you guys that we can make available for Patreon, if for some reason somebody hasn't seen this movie, it takes roughly 6 years to get there. So they leave in 48 and they get there in 54. So along with industrial and military organizations, which obviously you would need, just like, alien planet, let's not leave the military industrial complex on Earth. That's one of those things we need to salvage for our our Eden. I think it'd be a really good idea.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing: all the rich people are getting out, right? The poor people are staying behind to die on Earth. That's a given. But when the rich people get there, they're going to need somebody to be. They won't be rich if everybody's the same level of rich, right? So there needs to be a way to make more money than other rich people. So it all makes perfect sense. I think.
Yeah,
it's working good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And now we've got an unmolested planet to fuck up. So we've got at least a decade before we need to colonize another one, right?
Yeah.
So along with the military and industry, the RDA brought along the Pandoran Research Foundation and the Pandoran Conservation Initiative. Basically just a couple of toothless performative liberal organizations that try to greenwash all the strip mining we just found out about, basically. Yeah. Pandora is slightly smaller than Earth. However, due to the presence of denser gases in her atmosphere, it probably feels about the same when you're just out and about. I recently saw a thing about Venus. I mean, recently at this point, it's probably about a month, but we talked about it on a previous episode where despite the fact that Venus is smaller than Earth and has lower gravity, the density of the atmosphere would still crush you to death, just like water pressure would if you were, for some reason, trying to go visit the Titanic or something like that. Just a little James Cameron factoid about that one. The composition of the atmosphere on Pandora is similar to Earth's. So it's nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide. However, there is too much carbon dioxide for humans to survive. So all human characters are seen wearing exopacks while outdoors. I think in the picture here that I sent you of the military facility, you can see guys walking around with like a gas mask on. That is an exopack. I don't know if it cleans the air or it has a little oxygen tank in it, but humans need it to be outside. In the opening of the film, it is explained that breathing Pandora's air will kill you within 4 minutes, but you pass out almost immediately.
As someone who's taking driver's lessons really late, I found it funny. They're talking about tailgating. Like while you're driving, you're supposed to keep a couple cars in between you or whatever. So if you have to slam on the brakes, you have time to, right?
Okay, it's to keep the amount of distance that a couple cars could fit in. You don't actually keep a couple cars between you and the car.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. But what my teacher also said is like, also, if you get too close, there's the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. I was like, there is no way.
No,
you get too close.
It's such a thing. Like, I swear everybody must have there's an insane thing that my driving instructor told me whenever I was going through the training. Like, I just remember my driving instructor being like, yeah, you can pass on a solid line, but you can't pass on a double solid line. It's just recommended that you don't pass on a solid line. And it's like, no, that's super not true.
For me, it was stop signs. He called it an American stop, where so you never actually take your foot off the gas. You just it's a rolling stop basically. You just go fucking right through it, and it's like,
I'm driving a car for the first time in I think about 10 years on in Wednesday. So when this,
I hope you're good enough to bring us to Ethan's place for his birthday. I think that would be hilarious if we both got killed on the way.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun.
The brakes are new.
All right. Yep. Let's do it.
That'll be really impressive. I don't actually want that. I'm kidding. Within the atmosphere, I forgot to mention, there's also hydrogen sulfide, which can cause people to collapse after a single breath. So the air is completely poisonous.
Yeah.
The thing that really bound Earth to Pandora was the discovery of a silly little mineral named unobtainium, which I think needs a second draft, personally. That's a very stupid name. This miraculous substance was considered to be a superconductor, even at room temperature, and quickly became the most valuable substance known to man. If you're on your forklift, on the bus, whatever, I ran out. I need to go back to the fridge. It is time for you to take your drink, because this is our magic rock for the evening. I do love how one of the actors, like the CEO of the RDA on Pandora in the film, has his unobtainium displayed in this little kind of magnetic Alexa-looking thing. Because 1 kilogram of unrefined unobtainium is worth $20 million and $40 million when refined. So this guy probably has, I don't know how big this piece of unobtainium is, just on his desk as a little trinket. Easily $5 million that he just like a Newton's cradle just flicks it when he's in an interview that he's bored with, basically.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Like, that's status, baby. You know, you got to import your poor people, but fuck, man. Like, could you imagine just like a diamond Newton's cradle sitting there when you're in an interview with the CEO?
Right.
So, because it's a superconductor, and superconductor is a thing I don't really understand at all. I think a big problem with energy on Earth is friction. There's a lot of energy loss, which is why, like, room temperature superconductors are really, I mean, they're magic. They don't exist.
They don't
as
exist.
far as I know.
Or
Yeah.
they haven't been discovered yet. There's a big push to find them. They can happen close to absolute zero, and like the way the rock is like floating in the magnets there, you can create like levitation, which looks like very cool if you haven't seen like superconductor levitation.
Yeah.
But
quantum locking or something, or
yeah, exactly.
you know, whenever they send that thing around the track when it's really
Yeah.
cold in the
So it's like you can make
connection.
like the most efficient imaginable. Like a maglev train is powered by electricity, right? Like there's electricity that works these magnets to make them like stay apart
You know
from
who
each other.
drives that train? A superconductor.
You wouldn't in theory need nearly as much electricity if you just had like superconductors, which were just, you know, doing that on their own kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly. You lose
probably
a lot
some
of energy.
application in computing.
Probably, or energy generation. It's funny you mentioned maglev trains. Unobtainium shipped back to Earth did actually improve people's lives, because there is now a unobtainium powered global mass transit system where they use unobtainium to, as a superconductor, power these trains, basically, or whatever they are. I didn't see them in the movie.
It's just yeah. Again,
It just doesn't get hot. It doesn't get hot at room temperature, meaning there is no loss of energy and there's no risk of it melting itself or anything around it, which is the current problem with everything. It is constantly generating or like creating heat, because it's energy creates heat, right? Like just through friction.
I looked it up real quick. I know we're way off the rails for Pandora here, but superconductors used for MRI machines, maglev trains, nuclear fusion reactors, and particle accelerators. In power transmission, superconductors can be used to enhance communication in power cables, fault current limiters, radio frequency, and microwave filters. So what I get from this is that it will make rich people richer, because they'll something stock market will be slightly faster for them, and they'll they'll just continue to get richer off all our back.
I mean, it's not off topic at all. We're talking about a superconductor within the fiction, and this is definitely the reasons why it is $20 million a kilo. Like, let's be real. Right? In the magnetic fields on Pandora that drew humanity to it in the first place are created by the unobtainium in the crust of the moon itself. In some places, the magnetism is so powerful it actually creates floating mountains called they're either called the Hallelujah Mountains or the Hallelujah Islands, but they are in the first movie, and you can see them here. They're like, there's a speck in this image that is like a helicopter that the characters are flying around in, but there are floating mountains, and they also in some areas the magnetism is so strong can actually just warp the crust of the moon itself and create these gigantic stone arches, which is very cool.
I mean, I do love the idea of, I don't know, I assume the floating rocks are like full of magnetized stone, not unobtainium, and it's unobtainium like on the surface, which is pushing them up. But I do really love the latter of like having to build this like mining rig on this floating rock, and like as you're mining it, it's becoming like less and less suspended. And there's, you have to like calculate the point where it's like, oh, it's just all it's gonna go. We're gonna pass the event horizon. It's gonna come crashing down with all the mining equipment on it.
Oh, that's cool.
You could probably like strap smaller ones to big ones, which is a problem you would have to deal with in the future, which, like, let's be real, strip mining doesn't consider. So, like, that's a problem for the next CEO, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
They'd end up, like, just, like, nuking them out of the sky or something. Like,
yeah. Or, like, dragging them away, like, separating them from the magnetism into orbit or whatever. There's a lot of cool, there's a lot of cool stuff in the Avatar world, right? Like, just the presentation, people get kind of distracted. I'm wearing blue by accident also. I'm sorry. So unobtainium is this universe's like sci-fi magic solution to a lot of problems, right? At time of writing, a theory there's a theory of like where it came from is similar to the creation of Earth's moon. Unobtainium was created when a smaller moon crashed into a primordial Pandora, and then the energy generated by an impact of that size began to fuse and kind of reconstitute the metals within the crust, and then also a billion years in orbit around a gas giant, and all the friction that would cause and like the tectonics and whatnot would also continue to change because heat does change chemicals, right? The friction would kind of transform and create unobtainium out of, existing human minerals and shit like that. So like the theory is that like Polyphemus would have given us unobtainium. The natives, who we're going to get into after the break here, the Na'vi, refer to Polyphemus as the Great Eye. And it's named after, I believe, a Greek cyclops from mythology, just like Pandora is named after the woman who opened the cursed box.
Yeah, the box of glizzies. What led capitalism?
Yeah.
Exactly. But more on the Na'vi and more on the animals and plants and the people on Pandora after the break. Welcome back, everybody. So, while there are magic rocks on Pandora, there are also plants, animals, and a sentient species called the Na'vi, who I mentioned before the break. Much of the land...
Listen.
Not... Exactly. Much of the land is tropical, big plants with big leaves, that sort of thing. It's very much a jungle planet. A lot of the plants and animals are also bioluminescent, like a deep sea animal, which Jim loves the ocean, man. Like, what do you want me to say?
Yeah.
It's fascinated with it. The human environment is due to the fact that while there is more land overall, percentage-wise, than on Earth, physically, most of the continents are much smaller on Pandora. So everything is closer to a shoreline at all times, keeping things much more humid. You had mentioned Pangaea earlier in the episode, Ethan. Much of the center of Pangaea, from what we know, like evidence-wise, is the fact that the interior of it was just a fucking blasted desert, because it is so far away from any source of water that the interior is just like... That's why a lot of, I would assume, why a lot of the animals that came out of Pangaea are reptiles, is because they do very well in dry environments. This is where we get land crocodiles and dinosaurs, all the fancy stuff like that, right?
Cool. Makes sense to me.
It's one of the things I remember from paleontology, right?
Yeah. I don't know much, but water makes things wet.
It do, exactly.
And when things get too wet, the internet goes out.
Yeah, exactly.
Around these parts.
Yeah.
Pilgrim.
Right. Both poles actually still have ice caps, much to the chagrin of James Cameron, as we've agreed. However, there is no landmass underneath the ice caps on Pandora, so they're just free floating. The ice caps here are
like
connected.
The Arctic.
Well, the Arctic is partially at least connected to Canada.
There's no continent underneath it, but it's like, I guess it's connected to like the rinky-dink little islands we got up there.
Exactly, and
but the Northwest Passage does open, right? So they did find it.
Yeah, and like Antarctica itself is an archipelago. It's a series of large interconnected islands, basically. I think that's underneath the ice there. There's nothing There is nothing but, I guess, it's just unmined resources underneath the ice caps on Pandora, baby. Don't worry about it. Just at the sea floor. So much delicious unspiced algae that you couldn't imagine back on Earth, dude. It's crazy. Most of the life forms on Pandora are hexapods, meaning they have 6 limbs. However, the much more fuckable Na'vi are tetrapods like we are, but they still have a long tail. We just have a little tailbone, basically. I had read
I got a huge tailbone, dude. It's fucking so girthy, man. I don't even, like don't talk for me and Jamie, okay, Pete? Little 5'6" Peter talking about my tailbone. You don't know, man. God, you never seen it?
There was that movie where the guy had a wagging tail. It was like Shallow Hal.
Shallow Hal,
yeah.
That's the one.
I don't remember that
long ass tailbone.
Jason Alexander,
yeah.
George Costanza from Seinfeld had a vestigial tail.
Yeah,
I think I've told this story before. I knew a producer who worked with Jason Alexander when he was staying in Montreal on some shoot at some point. And they were staying in an older house. Him, his daughter, his wife at the time, or his girlfriend, whoever, and their babysitter. And he calls his producer, Kathy. And he's just like, Kathy, we need to change locations. I can't stay here anymore. She's like, okay, George, Jason, what's going on? Like, you just explained to me, like, what's going on? He's like, well, my babysitter was molested by a ghost. And
what?
That's why
good.
They had to. I shouldn't laugh, I guess, but it must have been traumatizing for the poor girl. But that's not what I was expecting you to say. That's not what I would have been expecting Jason Alexander to say.
I feel like I've told this story on the show before. It is one of the funniest things I've ever been told in my life, because I just imagine getting that call in the middle of the night.
Oh my
anyway,
god!
That's my
Kramer busting into Jerry's apartment, like, Jerry, I've been molested by a ghost.
I am 1 degree of separation away from Jason Alexander. That is the only thing I know about. But yeah, I'd read somewhere that the lower gravity on Pandora allows for the animals to have 6 limbs. I don't get it at all.
The square.
I looked up the square cube law,
yeah.
right? But like the animals are larger generally. Like the Na'vi themselves are average about 12 feet tall. They're much taller than people. They're much more muscular. But like the lower gravity being like, oh yeah, additional limbs. Like bugs aren't small because of Earth's gravity. It's because of their respiratory systems being shitty, right? They don't have 6 legs because gravity is too strong. They breathe bad, is the reason. And they were huge when oxygen was more present in the atmosphere. Is the thing, right? So
if you ever see a bug, just hit it with the asthma inhaler because it needs it.
I've got Symbicort. I'll just like blast the next spider I see. I'll just blast it with my inhaler. Just be like, it helped me get big and strong.
Yeah. So the next day you'll come back and it'll be an 8-legged freak, just giant, you know?
Yeah. I know that the artists and James Cameron, at least this is like some of the behind the scenes stuff. This is not from like comics or whatever. This is from like BTS stuff from like DVDs. They were saying that like they really did a lot of research and consulted a lot of biologists to just be like, I want the animals to look like they work. And so like Jim Cameron wants a 6-legged horse. All right, we're going to figure it out. And I guess they settled on the gravity did it. And I don't really know why, but the fact it's an alien planet and everything is recognizable to humans is kind of like silly enough. It's just like, go for it, right? Like, I mean, and they serve the same function. Like they have 6-legged horses that the Na'vi just fucking ride. Like it's just the same. Like they don't serve a different function. They're herbivorous and they're also beasts of burden, right? So
it's like, I think it's such a fine line when you're telling a sci-fi story to be like, you're telling a sci-fi story, you're probably into sci-fi, you want to have like all this exposition. I think exposition and world building is like a huge part of good sci-fi and good fantasy. It's what I love about it in particular, so maybe I'm biased, but over explaining is such a curse too, right? Where it's like you really don't have to. You're on an alien planet, it's got 6 limbs, that's just it. Like it's an alien.
That would have been far enough for me, right? But like all the animals are recognizable. Like I said, I just shared a photo here. You do have horse, whale, dragon, basically, and like a panther sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. These are the kind of iconic examples I brought up here. Nothing seems to have any fur. All the animals are very sleek and smooth looking. The horse itself kind of has like a bug-like shell on the back. And everything kind of has. If anybody's ever touched a snake, they feel They're so smooth they feel slimy because their scales are so small. Basically, they're just like this. There's no friction. They're superconductors, basically. There's no friction whatsoever on
They
a snake.
levitate. That's why they don't have. That's why they don't have legs.
They don't need legs anymore. Exactly. Yeah. They've evolved into superconductivity.
I feel like if you're gonna go 6 legs or 6 limbs, like on the horse, the front 2 should be just arms at that point. Like you're already good. You're running fine, and the extra value
you want like a praying mantis,
is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it already looks like
centaur.
Yeah, it looks like the horse already has pecs in the front. Like it, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like, yeah, you're not getting a whole lot of extra mileage out of 2 more legs on the ground, but 2 in the air, that's more. But,
well, then it would just punch, right?
Well, hell yeah, why not?
All right.
Yeah, Pete, why not?
It's true. Honestly, I was just giving Jim Cameron shit for explaining too much, and now I'm asking Jim, brother of Cameron, who's not explaining enough.
I mean, yeah, you get more punch, then you could do more things. You could punch all the fruits out of the trees or all the unobtainiums out of the ground,
and kill 2 buffalo at the same time.
Yeah, you can lead a horse to punching arms, but you can't make it punch.
Yeah, to Muay Thai, but you can't teach it to throw a proper punch.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing has fur. Everything's very sleek, very smooth, very shiny. They're a very cool looking, slightly alien animals. I do like the creature designs, don't get me wrong. It's very reminiscent of Monster Hunter, I think. It's just like a modified animal. It's very
slightly off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of like Uncanny Valley, but like we don't have the, I guess, like ancient monkey brain that's telling us that Uncanny Valley is like super not good. It's just like, oh, there's a slightly different animal, right?
Yeah, I mean, like a horse on Reddit would see this picture and just be like, oh, it makes me kind of uncomfortable in the same way like we see one of those fucked up robots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Seemingly all of the large life forms have the gross ponytail thing. At least a lot of the animals have 2. The Na'vi only have the 1. They have the gross ponytail thing on their bodies, which allow them to kind of connect to a bunch of different things via their Native American spirit USB. The Na'vi call it Sahelu, which, again, Jake Sully being our POV character after he gets his avatar, which we'll talk about, is taught how to do this. You can connect to plants and animals through what is probably explained as like one of those kind of like psilocybin or whatever, like the fungal network.
Myconid, yeah. Mycelium. Mycelium is I believe the network.
Yeah, the fungal communication network, because like I believe it is a natural thing on Pandora that all life, plant and animal, is connected through this network that they can communicate with. But obviously the Na'vi, who are very much like Stone Age level technology, like spears are their highest tech thing, like spears and fire at the time, at least. When humans get there, it's spears and fire. I mean, obviously they would fucking worship this. Like we worship the sun, right? Like you just can't explain it. It's like but I can send psychic text messages and communicate with my 6-legged horse.
Yeah.
When we go to Muay Thai together, right?
Yeah,
of course.
That's just like, I also would think that is fucking magic at the time. Right. So the entire network. So Sahelu is the process of connecting to it. It's like the whatever. It's the ritual. Whereas the entire network, the Na'vi people call Awa, which or who they worship. Like I said, I don't know if they call it like the mother goddess, basically, which is pretty standard paganism. Because it is derived directly from like, well, yeah, like Pandora created us and we can all communicate with it. Obviously, it is our mother. Like it all makes
Mother Earth.
Yeah, exactly. This is kind of just a quick aside here. I cannot understate how uncomfortable the fern tendrils inside all these animals make me. Like there's just like things that make you cringe. And it's not like a spine cringe or a chill, but even rewatching clips to refamiliarize myself with it, when the little tentacle things inside the avatar ponytails like connect to anything, I can feel like a cringe under my teeth. I hate the feeling. I hate looking at them, and it's just like this. Ugh.
I had that feeling.
I hate it. I hate them so much.
This week. This isn't a spoiler for the boys. In season 1, the Deep, who's like the fish man.
His gills.
Yeah, a
Horrible.
woman sticks her hands in his gills, and it made me so uncomfortable. Like,
It's disgusting.
yeah.
So here is just a screenshot of Jake plugging into Sahelu connecting to his horse.
I mean, the real issue is like when Mr. Kellogg obviously had that big push for circumcision, then your ponytail stops self-lubricating very effectively, and that's where you get a lot of chafing, when you're just riding horseback trying to talk to your psychic horse.
Exactly.
Yeah, you think the cable wears out whenever they ride too long and stuff? Like,
I was thinking, like, they probably don't need maps, right?
Yeah.
If they're communicating directly to the Earth, like getting directions on Pandora must rock. Like, no one's ever late for anything.
True.
Yeah,
right?
Well, people are still late. So the people are late for more reasons than just getting lost. But
no, I mean, you put your horse into sixth gear, all six legs on the ground. You're going way too fast, right? Crossing over double lines in the forest.
Punching your way through toll booths.
Yeah. it's still like just like the wooden arm goes down at the toll. It's like crashing through it.
Yeah. Hey, are you gonna pay that toll? No.
Yeah.
To the border. So the Na'vi are actually one of two known sentient species on Pandora. The second being the tulkun, which is the whale that I had mentioned and showed you a picture of earlier. These things are also intelligent and can communicate via Sahelu, via USB with other species. They're found to be sentient in the second film, The Way of Water, because they're not present in the first one. So like much like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is also really good fiction, I find. A lot of shit is just explained in the movie, and all the supplemental shit we're covering now is from comics and then the video games.
Don't whales just talk real far, anyways? Because they can in the ocean. There's like a problem with like submarines messing them up because they usually talk so long distance.
Yeah.
Just ocean noise, just like the I don't know if it's submarine specifically, but like
ship props
cargo
do
ships,
as well.
Yeah. That's it. Just too many cargo ships in the ocean make it hard for whales to communicate.
Another thing, I'm glad capitalism is working as intended.
Yeah,
very good.
We just need to make a whale so big that they can knock over those boats.
Oh yes, some kind of super orca.
We don't have to make boats quieter, have less of them in the ocean.
We need bigger whales.
Whales need to be louder. Yeah, come on, step it up, whales. Whales, you need to have more representation in the hot dog eating contest. And it's on you.
Exactly.
Any whale would crush Joey Chestnuts in a hot dog eating contest.
Oh my god,
their gullets are so big.
They're sucking all those.
They take it in with the water.
Through their baleen.
Yeah, you get like a hot dog bloom out in the ocean during mating season, just getting absolutely destroyed by humpbacks.
Oh man! Whenever they would breathe it in, they would turn them into spider dogs. It would like shred them through the baleen. I feel like with enough.
Well, the baleen catches the krill. The baleen is just for water to get out. So you right.
I feel like if you pull in hot dogs fast enough, it would just you'd turn them.
Well, they open their mouths and push the water out with their tongue. They don't.
Oh,
because the plankton would be on the outside if they were sucking through their teeth. They're not smoking.
You're right. You're right.
It's not like a whale is going around with a fucking cigarette pulling through a filter.
The tiniest little shrimp-sized cigarette in a whale's mouth.
That's how Joey Chestnut, he sucks back all those glissies and he just breathes them out and they get stuck in the back of his teeth.
Yeah, he uses his tongue to force out the water. I showed you guys here an image. At this point, everybody knows what a Na'vi looks like. There's a male and a female Na'vi here. They're blue. They're very cat-like. They have the same sexual dimorphism as humans to make them fuckable, obviously.
What's the butt plug next to it, though?
Yeah, I was going to say this horrible little screwdriver man next to it is concept art for the Na'vi. So at some point before the films came out, James Cameron was just like, a guy in a wheelchair is going to fuck that thing.
We could have had that, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that is if Guillermo del Toro made Avatar. That's what they would look like, right?
Yes, exactly.
That would have been the perfected design.
Yeah, this garden spade with translucent blue skin is what we
very Uncanny Valley.
Instead of linking the tails, you just put it up your butt to communicate.
Yeah, it's shaped exactly to fit between the butt cheeks of a human, right?
Yeah.
Like a spade.
Yeah, and Jake Sully being paralyzed is the perfect lover because he can't actually feel it.
Does that make it better? I think that makes it worse.
For that thing, I think. It's just it can go further, I would assume.
Gotcha. Very selfless.
Yeah. So Navi's hands and feet, they have 4 digits. So 3 3 fingers and a thumb, and then one less little piggy than the rest of us, I suppose. This is kind of how they can tell a human-made and human-piloted avatar from a pure-blood Na'vi. They probably also have different blood, because at some point in the first film, like the medicine woman of the tribe stabs Jake Sully with a needle, tastes his blood, and she's like, you're fake. You're manufactured, basically.
Gotcha.
And also in the second movie, when Jake and Neytiri's children encounter like high school bullying, their children have 4 fingers and a thumb, and they're discriminated against for not being,
Yeah.
For being different. There is such a great like high school bully subplot in the second Avatar movie that is also for some reason about talking to whales, where they're just like surfer kids bullying other kids for being different. It's dopey. I think you should watch it if you have 4 hours to spare. There's great action at the end. It's crazy. So their hands, feet, and tails, at least, and by the second film, it does show that they're adapted to their environment. So the first film focuses on tree or like jungle Na'vi, who they're very lanky and long, and they just kind of have like the super thin whip-like kind of lion tail, which is a perfectly reasonable size tail, Ethan. Don't worry about it. This is perfectly fine. Whereas in the second movie, the more Polynesian-inspired like water Na'vi have webbed feet and hands, as well as like kind of thicker, meatier paddle-like tails, which not everybody has. I understand, it's fine.
No, those ones are too big. They're like girls don't even like tails that big, honestly.
Yeah, those are too big. Girls don't even like that. Is exactly what this concept art Na'vi is saying to people right now. Just this awful little thing.
It's just like staring right at us too.
It's horrible. I know.
It's not blinking.
Yeah. The concept art for Avatar is a fascinating like flip through. I think I would recommend anybody do it because there's some weird shit in there. Also, apparently the next Avatar film is going to be about a volcano Na'vi who are like grayish blue instead of teal or regular blue, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know what their tails are going to look like, but they did the jungle tribe, they did the water tribe, now they're doing the fire tribe next, which fucking great. When I'm 50 years old and that movie comes out, I'm looking forward to stealing it off the internet. Whatever the internet looks like at that time. Right. It kind of reminds me of like gray-skinned volcano people is the closest thing I'll ever get to a Morrowind adaptation. Right? Which is just so fucking cool. So regardless of what the environment they're adapted to, the Na'vi all believe in Ewa. Again, this is... I'm agnostic now that I know people who have died. Ewa is like straight up a thing you can just feel and prove, though. On Pandora, it's different, right? It's different than regular... Like, it's different than from what I would consider a human religion. I don't want to be too Reddit atheist or anything like that. Again, like...
You are wearing a gold cross around your neck.
Yes, because I was baptized. But it's really much more of just like a...
Hedging his bets, right?
Yeah, just in case. Like, I don't know. All Na'vi have their ponytail. They all have the horrible little ferns, little tendrils inside of them. They all use Sahelu and they can connect to Ewa, and they all worship and obey Ewa's 3 laws, which translated into English are very weird. You shall not set stone upon stone, neither shall you use the turning wheel, nor use the metals of the ground. I don't understand the first 2 at all.
It's the no stone and stone, no gay people. I think.
Okay.
James biblical scholar Miller over here.
Well, I'm glad they blew up the tree in the first film in that case.
No stone on stone is don't build houses. Don't build no buildings, right?
Don't settle.
Live outside. So, yeah. Let's live outside. It's don't do capitalism. Or the 3 laws is each don't do capitalism, and don't do capitalism.
Basically, except for the fact like don't use the turning wheel seems maybe a little capitalism. So it's just like what about a wheelbarrow? I know that was the
why
first
do you need to do
step.
Work, Peter? Because capitalism. God,
to bring fruit to the tribe. Like what if you're the fruit guy?
Well, no, they said no.
You can just have a 6-legged horse do everything for you. Oh yeah, no fruit guys. That's true. No stone on stone.
No, you're just like here's the thing. You're the fruit guy. You say you need a wheelbarrow. What is stopping you from walking the fruit over?
I don't know. I just figured just like one trip instead of 3.
it's all capitalism efficiencies, dude. You're just like, well, we have to maximize the profit. Like that's the only place your mind is going right now.
You're right. I should just be way more laid back.
Trips. Yeah, just do 3 trips. Like
that's true. There's no clock in, clock out in the jungle, baby.
Exactly. Yeah. That's just That's your boss. You have a boss somewhere in the back of your head saying like, well, you got to do it on time, so you can have a weekend as a nice little treat. And you can just spend all day walking through the rainforest picking fruit and giving it to people. You know what I mean?
That's true. That does sound way better. And at least the third one is very on the nose, is no mining, which is what humans are here to do in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
So towards the end of both films, Awa, which is why I definitely believe it is real and is a real and like alive and knows what's going on the moon. Awa seems to self-actualize and fight humanity with nature directly herself. She triggers massive stampedes of animals who overwhelm human technology in the first movie. The Tulkun whales might be different since they're confirmed to be sentient like the Na'vi. I can't remember, and I didn't have time to rewatch the second movie because it is 4 hours long. But the whales versus sci-fi whaling ships action sequence, only James Cameron could have put that to film and made it look as cool as he did. It is so fucking cool. I'm pretty sure, at least this is Lore Boys canon, but this is mostly just me knowing two unrelated things and putting them together. I'm pretty sure this sequence is based on the whaling ship Essex, which was a whaling ship taken down and sunk by a adult male sperm whale, like out in the Pacific Ocean. It's what inspired Moby Dick. And
cool.
I've always wanted to do a Lore Boys episode about the Essex and Moby Dick, but I just haven't figured out how to make it good or interesting yet. But it's been like on my back burner for probably 2 years at this point, just trying to figure it out. In the meantime,
I don't know how to make one of the most famous and interesting stories ever written interesting.
Yeah, it's also the fact that like the real story is also like more violent and also insane that they were attacked just by a whale that remembers being hunted, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, it happened like 2 years. It happened last year, right? A bunch of orcas off the coast.
Oh yeah, they were attacking. They were attacking yachts, which is fantastic. But in the meantime, you can watch the Ron Howard film In the Heart of the Sea, which I remember seeing and very much liking. That is about the Essex. It's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah. So humanity via the RDA came into contact with the Na'vi when they first landed. It doesn't appear as though conflict occurred until the first film itself. So everything was not, perfect, but fairly good, right? The RDA began work on the Avatar program, where the DNA was taken from both human and Na'vi candidates to create the lab-grown bodies that could be piloted remotely by humans, the avatars themselves. This eliminated the need for exopacks and also helped with contacting the Na'vi tribe, since the humans showing up in a Na'vi body would look way more familiar, right? You don't have little pale-skinned monsters skittering around in the bush trying to steal rocks from you. You have somebody who looks like you who's also wearing like khaki green and carrying a giant gun, which must make them way better way to establish communication, I think. Like I said earlier, all lab-grown avatars have 4 fingers and a thumb. This is how, again, they're kind of clocked by the pureblood Na'vi. The Avatar program was developed by Dr. Cordell Lovecraft, which is a red flag name, if you ask me. He has no official photo, but he is talked about in some of the supplemental materials from outside of the movies and games. He was assigned to the project. Called Dark Dream, which had the objective of transmitting human thoughts wirelessly, and this eventually morphed into the Avatar project. So the technology was already in place. They were already trying to basically, whatever. It's a Jedi program from the CIA. They were trying to project human thoughts, and then it morphed into this.
Cool.
Dr. Grace Augustine, played by Sigourney Weaver in the films, was one of the first 20 Avatar pilots, and also set up a school so that humans and Na'vi could interact and learn each other's languages. So she was part of one of the conservation efforts that they brought with them, and this, again, helped with relations where it's like, well, we should probably be able to talk to each other so that we can trade them. We brought 1 trillion beads from Earth, and we're going to trade it for this rock that they don't know is magnetic, basically.
Yeah, exactly. We brought these blankets.
Yeah, exactly. They're all super tiny, basically human-sized blankets for the Na'vi. She was the primary contact with the Omaticaya clan, which are the jungle Na'vi in the first film. That's the clan that they deal with there. This is where the tribe that the female lead Na'vi from the film, Neytiri, is from, and she learned to speak English through the Na'vi human interaction, like through Sigourney Weaver's school or Grace's school.
Gotcha.
Sadly, the school was shut down in 2152. So this is after Jake Sully left Earth, but before he arrived. So, like, all good ideas need to be adapted for war. So we're going to end this episode on the kind of the, other than the whales, the other new thing introduced in the second film. And these are the recombinants, or recoms. Rather than being remotely piloted Navi in a clone body, a recombinant actually has the memories of a dead soldier implanted directly into it. So it doesn't have the vulnerability of having a sleeping person controlling it remotely. During the fight scene at the end of the first movie, main bad guy, Miles Quaritch, is like, what the fuck? Like, why am I fighting Jake Sully's avatar body when I can just go over to him asleep in his bed and kill him there, basically? So the recombinant program eliminates the need for an actual pilot. The problem is, this is really good for the military. If you're going to radicalize some dudes, you could probably take the memories of somebody killed by the Na'vi and upload that directly into a soldier, like, Na'vi body, basically. So they all they're basically connected, they're killed, their memories have been backed up. They make like a VHS tape for themselves where they're just like, hey man, I know this is all super fucking crazy. I'm you, but I'm dead and I was killed by these fucking things. So they have like a welcome to your new body, like an old-timey dating profile set up for themselves for when they wake up. So while he is killed at the end of the first film, Miles Quaritch's memories are uploaded into an avatar, a recom backup body that he had created for himself. And he leads a new, basically, spec ops squad of recom Na'vi against Jake Sully in the second film. And obviously, I want to show you guys, he was a meme for a while, and I did name the file January 6th Avatar. But the Avatar military man with the wraparound shades is fucking iconic, dude.
Oh, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You say it was a meme for a while. I've never seen this picture.
Oh, yeah. People, I think it's because the movie came out and then either right before or right after January 6th. And everybody was just like, this guy would have been there. Like, obviously. Also, the logo for the Recoms is so fucking stupid. I just want you guys to describe it to people. It is so
Deja
stupid.
blue.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. We will tread on you.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, the actual the art of like the big scary skull with the little human skull kind of nestled in it is like cute, I guess.
It's very cool. Yeah.
Oh, the snake being the ponytail, right? So being like the poison gift when they would like plug into Awa or whatever the name was, but
Awa, exactly. But also, whatever the "Don't Tread on Me" flag is also like a coiled up rattlesnake, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And we will tread on you as part of this.
But the words are bad. I think the actual like design is very good, but the Deja blue, we will tread on you, is stupid. What you want a fun fact about recombinant organisms?
Sure.
Talking of James Cameron's activism, that's a GMO, genetically modified organism, is a recombinant organism because they take DNA from one plant and will kind of like breed another plant to have those traits as well.
Interesting.
So it's kind of his like, GMOs are the bad guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, but there you go. That is that's Avatar. I had a lot of fun putting it together. I think it's very silly, but it's very charming, like I said at the top. Thank you so much for listening. I have been your host, Peter O'Donoghue. You can find me at Laura's Podcast on Instagram, or you can read my comic, or at least a preview of it at loreboys.com, patreon.com/theloreboys. It's available for everybody who supports us, regardless of how much you pay every month.
Yeah.
Fellas,
check it
out. Full release coming soon. Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
We'll have more announcements when we get closer to it. Jimbo, do you have anything you want to talk about?
Twitch.tv, Loreboy James. Go check that out. I play Dead Space lately. We do a little more Elden Ring. We're playing a lot of games. Just come hang out with me.
It's a good time. I love having it on.
Yeah, we got all the community folks chatting and gifting, and it's a good time.
If you like the show, please consider leaving us a review or telling your friends about us, sharing it with people who you think might like it, because it helps us to grow. And you're the only way we got to do that. by you telling other people or hoping that that the algo gets us there, but we swear too much for Google. So we talk about putting alien fish heads up our butt too much for Google to like us. So we need your help. Thanks so much. As Peter mentioned, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/theloreboys, which you can check out, have a few tiers there, get access to some bonus content, some other fun stuff. It's really just a way to support the show and help us keep it worthwhile and keep the lights on and buy JB this fancy new Shure mic and get our quality up a little bit better. Thanks so much for everyone who has supported us in the past, who continues to support us, who will support us in the future. You guys rule. And for those who don't trust Patreon, sorry, go ahead.
I noticed something. discord.gg/loreboys. We're about 70 people off from 1,000 strong. So if you weren't sure, like, come on in. I think 1,000.
Be the 1,000th person. How fun would that be? Thanks so much for listening. If you guys don't trust Patreon, we do have Loreboys Prime. Here at Loreboys Labs HQ, we've been hard at work on a couple projects. Obviously, Jamie's leading the investigation into Nathan's hot dogs to make sure that Joey Chestnut can be reinstated once we get the appropriate blackmail. If anyone has,
Jamie's in the lab trying to create a woman who can eat 60 hot dogs, basically.
Miko, they're talking about putting her into the men's league. At this point, she would have placed third in the men's, so she would have beat James Webb.
Why not?
The telescope guy? Oh, she does deserve a telescope. Never mind.
Yeah. And when you say I've been doing research, I've mostly just been eating a lot of hot dogs at home. But
hey, I mean, you're hard at work. I thought you were building a glizzy telescope. I thought you were building a telescope out of hot dogs, but
it's more like a potato cannon at this point that just shoots the hot dogs.
Peter and I, of course, hard at work training whales to both eat hot dogs and tip boats. Mainly, we want to find where the hot dog comes from, and we want to find those boats, get the whales to tip those boats so that they eat all the hot dogs, right? So wherever Nathan, whatever planet or third world island Nathan's is importing their hot dogs from, we haven't found it yet because we haven't found the blackmail on them. I assume they're pillaging some poor island nation of their bountiful hot dog trees. We want to get the whales to tip those boats over.
Hot dog republic that we're trying to destabilize with whale technology.
The CIA's got our back, which is a first for us. They're usually against us, honestly.
Yeah.
Thinking about how they transport it, it's like a barge just with a bunch of loose, unpackaged hot dogs.
It's like on the deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like they just got like a big, like open, like a pool in the middle of the deck, and it's just hot dog water, sloshing about full of glizzies.
Keep them in a brine. That's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. Rough seas, hot dogs splashing up into the sailors' faces as they're trying to cross the deck.
I like to imagine it as one of those like iron ore haulers on the Great Lakes, like the Edmund Fitzgerald, like the three giant tanks just like full of hot dogs, basically.
So if any of you guys are like, the people, if any of our listeners are those kind of people who like to like track Elon Musk or Taylor Swift jet around the world, start tracking the Nathan's hot dog boats for us so we can send our whales after them. That's what we need for you. And if you do that and send us a couple, ship logs, ship manifests, then easily a member of the Lore Boys family for life.
That's what the people on board call the hot dogs after a while, ship logs.
Everywhere. 1,000th member of the Discord gets to captain a hot dog piracy ship. Captain of the cargo ship.
Well, I think that would cost you a Lore Boys.
Out.
That's your art right at the end, Pete.